The 2017 Atlantic hurricane season will go down as one of the most active and catastrophic hurricane seasons in history, with 3 of the 6 major hurricanes of Category 3 or stronger, Harvey, Irma, and Maria, leading to most of the death and destruction in Texas, Florida, the Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico. As extraordinary as these storms were, just as impressive were the maritime relief efforts in support of the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA. This response was led by the Department of Transportation's Maritime Administration, or MARAD, through deployment of MARAD vessels from its Ready Reserve Force, or RRF, in cooperation with the United States Transportation Command, or TRANSCOM, while the domestic U.S. flag maritime industry also provided vital support to FEMA. The timeline for the development of this unprecedented series of 3 major hurricanes overlapped with the planning for the responsive federal effort to activate and deploy assets for hurricane relief. As Harvey developed into a major hurricane on August 20th, MARAD officials were already in contact with FEMA to plan for a pre-scripted mission for relief efforts in Texas, a turnkey process that relies on prior communication between the agencies to prepare for any disaster. On September 1st, MARAD activated 2 National Defense Reserve Fleet vessels, the New York State Maritime College's training ship Empire State and the Massachusetts Maritime Academy's training ship Kennedy, to support Texas FEMA relief efforts. MARAD also activated the Texas Maritime Academy's training vessel General Rudder, already in port at Galveston, Texas. Combined, these 3 vessels were to provide housing, food, and water to over 1,200 first responders, freeing up local hotel resources for displaced individuals. On September 6th, MARAD activated the RRF vessel SS Wright for a similar FEMA Harvey relief mission as a new threat evolved: Hurricane Irma, striking the Caribbean islands as a Category 5 monster with 185-mile-per-hour winds. In response, on September 14th, MARAD and FEMA rerouted the Empire State to Key West, Florida for Irma relief efforts, while the Wright departed Philadelphia for St. Thomas of the U.S. Virgin Islands to respond to Irma's extensive damage. As the Kennedy and the Empire State supported relief efforts in Texas and Florida, Hurricane Maria evolved in one of the most rapid intensifications ever measured to Category 5, bearing down on the U.S. Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. With Maria landfall imminent and the damage from Irma already done, the Kennedy and the Empire State were redirected to San Juan in response to Maria's devastation of Puerto Rico. Maria's track forced the Wright to reposition out of harm's way, along with U.S. Navy ships involved in the relief effort, before finally arriving in St. Thomas to house first responders and deliver a critically needed airport VOR navigation system so that air relief could resume. Meanwhile, the domestic U.S. flag maritime industry's state-of-the-art container ships and barges were activated to deliver emergency relief cargoes after already pre-positioning thousands of containers and supplies on the islands prior to the arrival of the hurricanes. U.S. flag companies then prioritized FEMA cargoes, boosted vessel speeds, and increased sailing frequencies to accommodate the urgent demand. Together, they built a veritable iron mountain of containers at port facilities when the cargo backed up because damaged infrastructure prevented distribution. To respond to this, these companies delivered heavy equipment, bucket trucks, specialized vehicles, and 37,000 electric utility poles to rebuild the infrastructure, in addition to providing vitally needed supplies for communications and energy companies. By mid-November, they had delivered more than 36,000 containers and millions of pounds of relief cargo to Puerto Rico alone. MARAD and the domestic U.S. flag maritime industry again demonstrated mission readiness and value to the nation. President Trump showed his appreciation visiting the crew of the Kennedy during his trip to Puerto Rico.
At the end of the day, all told, we berthed almost 26,500 people, bunk nights if you will, and served more than 53,000 meals for first responders amongst all the vessels that were down there. FEMA was very pleased with that.
We give the President options. Those options say that we can provide you an immediate force anywhere on the planet tonight, or we can bring that decisive force, which is maritime, and we can bring it to make a decisive effect. And without MARAD, none of those are possible.
Although the MARAD and the domestic U.S. flag shipping response to this unprecedented multi-event disaster was well received by federal agencies, it's clear that the training ships and some RRF vessels that support these efforts are aging, and that a new class of National Security Multi-Mission Support Vessels, or NSMV, is needed to replace these older ships. In response, Congress has appropriated $300 million for the first NSMV ship to replace the Empire State. The President's budget for fiscal year 2019 has requested additional funding for these replacement school ships. The relief effort in response to Harvey, Irma, and Maria will go down in history as a shining example of how vital MARAD and the domestic U.S. flag maritime industry are to supporting FEMA and first responders when disasters strike.
We realize that the next time we have catastrophic disasters, we will need MARAD there with us, support responders, feeding and housing them, working alongside with us so that we can respond effectively to those future disasters.